Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia, and today we're starting a brand new skill tree guide for Total War Troy's 3 Agent classes, starting with the Spy. So the Spy is actually one of the most powerful agents in Troy, and it's very useful, and there's many ways to build the Spy depending on what you want the Spy to do for you. So the first thing we can take a look at is all the Spy actions available in the game. And they are the Outrider, which you can use on your own army, embedding the Spy into it to increase the sight range of any army. Sword and Foil, standing passive when you do nothing, reduces chance of success for all enemy agent actions in the region. Foster the Wounded is used on your own settlements to increase the replenishment rate for garrisons and armies in the local region. Murmurs of Sedition, foreign settlements target, causes the target garrison to suffer attrition. Assassinate Rival can be used against any foreign character, whether that is an agent or a general, killing or wounding that foreign character. And finally, Poison the Well, which can be targeted for the foreign army, targeting the units inside, suffering attrition for them. And these are the 6 default spy actions. There is one additional one if you're playing as Odysseus, which creates the safe haven. It doesn't really impact the game decisions, so I'm not going to include it here. So depending on which one of these 6 actions you want to focus on, your spies can be built in a variety of different ways and still be effective, but my favorite build for the spy has to be the Murmurs of Sedition build, which is used to target foreign settlements and cause the target garrison to suffer attrition. This is very useful in Troy because garrison fights are very difficult and a type of battle that you cannot avoid, because if you want to expand, you have to fight the enemy in their settlements. And oftentimes they will have defensive structures, bolstering the number of units in their settlements. And since we are playing a Bronze Age game, there are not many siege options you can take to help you make the battle easier. So if you can use Murmurs of Sedition on a city, you can reduce their garrison by a lot, actually, depending on how many spies you're committed to the action and how many turns you're willing to use your spies. Essentially, they are a better option than standing there and sieging the city out. So let's take a look at what we want to do with our spy skill tree if we want to pursue a path where Murmur Sedition is our main focus for the spy. So at rank 2, which is technically the first rank since you start out at level 1, you have a choice between Pathfinder and Diligent for your first skill point, and afterward you have 2 more choices depending on which path you pick. And from these, Diligent and Meddler is the way you want to go. You want to increase the chance for all actions, which would definitely increase the chance of Murmur Sedition as well. And upon successful use of Murmur Sedition or successful action against a foreign settlement, which is technically just another word for Murmurs of Sedition, you get 10% additional damage to the garrison, so speed up how much attrition you cause to the enemy. Then at rank 3, you want to opt for the surveillance path and self-medicating. These are not very important to this build, but compared to all the other choices, this is the option that best serves you. It's really a defensive build against enemy action, and it will help ease some of the later choices that might increase the vulnerability of your spy against enemy agent actions. But essentially, this is not crucial to your build, and if you want to pass these 2 until later levels, you can save your skill point for other skills in the earlier rank as well, since it does cost 2 skill points to pick up both options within a certain rank. Then moving on to rank 4, Eastern Poison with Criminal is an excellent choice here. Even though Eastern Poison provides 2% damage for Poison the Well, which is targeting enemy armies, Criminal is a great choice because it gives you additional 10% chance to enemy garrison. There's really not a better option here, looking at all of the choices in rank 4, simply because the left side's more focused on targeting enemy agents or enemy armies in terms of damaging them on the field, whereas if you want to target the garrison, you have to go with Criminal, which forces you to take Eastern Poison. Then at rank 5, we want to go with Meticulous Planner, which farther increases your success chance for all spy actions. And then Vigilance, minus 10% success rate, very similar to the rank 3 choices, a bit defensive action against enemy agents, simply because Patient is not really useful for us since that requires to be embedded in the army. And since this spy is going to be on the field targeting enemy settlements, Patient is just not going to give us anything at all. So we want to go with Vigilance. Meticulous Planner is useful, but Vigilance can probably wait until later levels to pick up. Then rank 6, back to Egyptian Herb Expert, another 2% for Poison the Well effect, but Enticer there with the 10% damage to enemy garrison is the real reason why we want this. At rank 7, Aware gives us another 5% success chance for all our actions. Intuition increases the critical success chance, which will give us extra damage against enemy garrisons by another 5%. Then moving on to rank 8, there is nothing really good here for us between both the tracker and scale option. So if you have to pick something, go with the tracker, and Trickster simply because foreign spies are more threatening than foreign satyrs and also more common than foreign satyrs. So the 20% chance is going to be much better, even though it's 50% chance to kill a satyr. But in reality, none of these are really relevant to our build at hand, and simply you can actually skip this level up and save the point for when you reach rank 9, because rank 9 has one of the best spy skills in the game in Instigator plus Thief. Instigator gives us 10% additional damage to garrison, exactly what we want, but more importantly, Thief is the best way to gain gold in the game. You get 50 points of gold for successful action against foreign settlement, which is an action such as Murmur of Sedition. So for the spy, each time you not only kill off some enemy garrisons, you're going to earn yourself 50 gold for your next turn. So this is actually a great way to earn gold, which is a finite resource in the game, or quote unquote finite. And since it does take 2 points to get both Instigator and Thief, skipping the rank up on rank 8, as we just mentioned, will get you the perfect amount for this build. Then moving on to rank 10, Tireless Rover and like Perseus is the option here. Simply like the tracker option from previous rank, there's nothing that's really relevant to us. So we just go with extra movement, and from the assassination increase for Seer and Gorgon. Gorgon's a little bit more threatening. Both are pretty rare, so there's no wrong choice. I just simply prefer to kill the Gorgon in the off chance you actually see a Gorgon on the field. Then moving on to rank 11, we have Plot Disruptor and Reckless. This is once again a defensive build for the Plot Disruptor, but the Reckless is good for 10 points to the crit success chance for all your actions, but it will increase the enemy action success chance against your agent too, which is why you want things like Plot Disruptor and all the defensive one we mentioned earlier to kind of protect your agent in order to pick up Reckless. Then for rank 12, Silent and Deadly and Cruelty, plus 5% chance to incapacitate, which is assassinate the enemy characters or wound them. It's not really relevant. Cruelty is also not relevant because it decreases the defense of enemy units after a successful action against a hero. This is really with the assassination line, but because the other side is Poison the Well line, it's also not very useful. If I weigh both sides, I think Cruelty is a better option to grab, and sometimes you do want to kill enemy army officers, so Silent Deadly will help you a little bit with that. Sure, there is a Poison the Well build that could use the right side, but this is not that build, and we'll cover that build when we get a chance to. And to be honest, the option between reducing morale on the right and reducing melee defense, I prefer the melee defense. Even though you might think routing unit is a good option, it is, but in Troy, I find that without fast infantry or cavalry, it's not readily available for most armies. Routing enemy is a bit tricky. They rout and they rally back. You have to chase, you have to commit units to chase. I'd rather just have melee defense debuffs so that we can kill them a bit faster. Then for rank 13, we go with Cold-Blooded and Spy Instructor. Cold-Blooded ensures your agent will always succeed. Basically, every time they fail, they will not lose their action point and you can just try again. Of course, if you get a critical failure, you can wound yourself and that will take you out of action. But basically, it guarantees that you will always be able to finish your action, which is quite crucial in my opinion. Spy Instructor is the added one for 10% success chance for all actions. Very powerful, very useful. Then finally, at your final rank, rank 14, you want to go with Nightshade Brew for Poison the Well will never fail, and Healthy. Healthy is the default option at rank 14's secondary, and it basically means you're immortal, you can be wounded but never killed, sort of protects you from losing all your skill point investment. Shrewd Shadow, anything with reduced costs is something that I'm not particularly favoring. I feel like the cost of spy actions are not that severe, so minus 40% here is not really necessary. Having the option to know that Poison the Well will never fail, even though this build does not focus on Poison the Well, nevertheless, we did pick up a few Eastern Poison abilities earlier, so it will still help us out for those land battles that we want to aid our army. But overall, this is the build I would go with for most of my spies. You can only have 3 spies. Typically, 2 of them will have this build in my army, and I find it quite useful. Of course, this is not the only way to build your spy. You can have your spy focus on assassinating characters using Assassinate Rival and Poison the Well, which can also be used as an assassination tool, as you will soon see. And there's a second build here that we're going to showcase using these 2 options. And using this one for rank 2, we actually want to go Pathfinder into Stealthy. This is an interesting choice actually, because you could actually argue for Diligent here as well. Stealthy gives you the 5% chance only for assassination actions, whereas Diligent gives you 5% chance to everything, so it's more versatile. But the 2 follow-up skills are less relevant to our build here. Of course, you could still go with Meddler. It's not a bad option. And on Pathfinder side, you might argue that why don't we go with Poisoner? Well, the reason why we don't go with any sort of poison damage increase is because they nerfed it too much. It's only 2% success or 2% damage boost here, not success chance. Used to be 5%. They nerfed it because you can have the option for Poison the Well to never fail. So it became quite strong. But in my opinion, you don't need this 2% here. There's other options to increase damage to enemy armies after assassination. So after assassination is the key word here. You have to finish the assassination. Therefore, Stealthy is a good choice here. Then rank 3, same option, defensive options as we shown before, Surveillance, Self-Medicating. The others just are not that relevant unless you're going for embedded army build, which we will also show at the end of this guide here. But for this, I think Surveillance option is quite nice. Rank 4, we're going with Trained Assassin and Rampage. Trained Assassin, once again, 5% success chance for the assassination actions. And Rampage is where we're going to get our damage. After you kill the enemy general, you will inflict 10% attrition to their units. This is how you get around the poison damage nerf. So instead of just going up to an army and applying poison to all their units, we go up to an army, we kill the leading general, which is a requirement in the game. You must have one leading general to have an army. We kill that general or wound that general, and right away all his unit will take attrition from things like Rampage, and 10% damage is a lot better than those 2% poison damage that we see for the Poison the Well options after the nerf. Then rank 5, Meticulous Planner is back with Vigilance. It's a defensive option here again. Well, the Meticulous Planner is 5% success chance. We always love those, but Vigilance defense, mainly because the left side really is not relevant to what we want. This is more of a stay-at-home spy type of build, which I don't recommend at all. Spies are incredibly powerful on the offense. I would not just keep them for our own settlement action. Then rank 6, Remorseless Killer, once again going back to increase assassination chance, and Malevolent, which is again 10% attrition inflicted on enemies. So you can see 20% stacking already with the full build. Wicked Poisoner is an option that many people look at, where they say you can have Poison the Well, which means it never fails, and then you wound the enemy hero. But if you have a very high success chance for encapsulating enemy agents or generals, you don't need Wicked Poisoner. Sure, never fail does sound good, but high percentage plus repeatable action from the one that will not drain your action means always success as well. So you always end up wounding or killing the general anyways with either options, but with the 10% attrition, stacking a couple of times, it will do a lot more damage than the standard Poison the Well damage. So this is probably the better option in my opinion. Then rank 7, Aware Intuition. We want to increase crit success chance, especially for assassination builds, because crit means kill, whereas the regular success means wound. against all sorts of agents or generals when you try to assassinate them. And then rank 8, we're going to go with Tracker again. So a lot of movement on this spy, and then we explained why we want Trickster over Killjoy. At rank 9, back to getting gold. I know this build is not designed for foreign settlement targeting, but getting 50 gold is so good that I recommend you getting Thief on all your spies. Then rank 10, Tireless Rover again. So we have another range boost. This is going to be a very mobile spy. Once again, picking assassination target. Gorgon's probably better than Seer, so that's why we pick like Perseus. Then for rank 11, you have the freedom of choice here. Silver Tongue for all action percent, 5% more. Then once you target, or for embedded armies, the bonus after that, it's not relevant to you because you're very rarely going to be embedded into an army. And the reason why we pick this side is because the other side is also a bit weird. Plot disruptor is not something we're looking for. The 5% success chance really good for trying to assassinate someone. Obviously, if you go plot disruptor, you can still go back to the reckless build. It will only increase our crit success chance, which is just takes away from our regular success chance. So like if you have 50% success, part of that becomes crit success. So if you're increasing just crit, you are just going to lose out a bit of regular success chance. Your total success chance is not going to change, which is why Reckless doesn't really help us with this build. That's why Silver Tongue still probably the better option here. It's just that exotic armor and traditional armor both are pretty useless for us. Then moving on to rank 12, Silent and Deadly. No need to explain that there. And then Torture for 20% melee defense for all units in the army. Because we're targeting army quite a lot, this is quite nice. The 10% critical failure chance is pretty dangerous, but I think it's worth the risk. If you're not really a risk taker, Cruelty will do just fine. Then for rank 13, Master of Disguise plus Wolfbane Supplier. So we're actually going to go away from Cold-Blooded here. This is also a compromise for picking Torture on the last rank. If you did not pick Torture, you don't have to go Master Disguise. But because there's that critical failure where you could accidentally kill yourself, Master Disguise here will prevent you from getting wounded or killed upon a critical failure, which means you can enjoy the increased critical success chance on both this Master Disguise as well as the 20% decrease to enemy melee defense from Torture when you target enemy general, target enemy army. And then Wolfbane Supplier will increase your Poison the Well damage, which is nice. I don't really care about cost reduction, so efficient is not really under consideration. Then finally, back to Nightshade Brew, which is Poison the Well, never fails, and Healthy, which keeps you immortal, only can be wounded but never killed. And this build overall is pretty useful to take out strong generals, as well as hurting armies on the field or armies garrison inside settlements, but it cannot touch the garrison itself, which is why it has certain drawbacks. I typically keep one spy with this build because they are generals that are pretty difficult to deal with that you might want to get rid of. Then finally, moving on to the last build option, I don't think this is a particularly good build, but it is an option that you have. This is a spy that's normally embedded in your army and sometimes come out and perform actions when needed, whether that's to create replenishment rate for your garrison when you are wounded with your army and need some help, or to kill off some enemy units in armies that's facing against your army, but mainly a lot of embedded bonuses. So taking a look at our options, Diligent and now Generous, which is going to help us increase replenishment rate when we need that. And then for rank 3, Secret Connections, giving you more line of sight. And then Amateur Smith, which gives your unit 5% damage resistance. This is probably the best option you have. If you don't feel like defensive points is useful, let's say you have a heavy range army that kites, then Messenger could also work because it gives you 8% campaign movement. But typically, if you can get damage resistant, it's something that I'm not going to turn down because it's just very powerful. Then rank 4, back to Eastern Poison and Lingering Poison. We mentioned this because Poison the Well is still the build option they're going to go with at the end where it never fails. Therefore, Anything that can increase the damage of that's nice. Plus lingering poison is kind of what you want to do in case you're, not only buffing your own army by embedding it, but when you come out and do damage to enemies, you want to also nerf the enemy army. But the thing here is, if you're embedded and you come out and do this, you lose the embedded bonus. So it's not that great. Normally you just want to stay inside your army, but you don't really want criminal either because there's no part of this build that is designed for Murmurs Sedition. Then moving on to rank 5, Meticulous Planner again, back to Patient, which gives your embedded army 40% success chance for ambushes. Then rank 6, Remorseless Killer, because we're still targeting enemy armies quite a bit. And then Wicked Poisoner this time, because we're not getting as many boosts to killing enemy generals in terms of success chance or hurting their units afterward. What we want this time is actually just rely on the fact that Poison the Well will never fail if we pick that option, and use that to take out the enemy hero. You do less damage, but you guarantee to take out a hero. So that's kind of the option with this more flexible build. Then rank 7, back to Aware, back to Intuition, because there's just no other really good options here. Then for rank 8, we go back to Scout. This is perfect for embedded army. So we got a ton of line of sight, doubling it now. And then when we have new unit recruitment, we get +1 rank with Recruit Handler. Rank 9, it's still really hard to say no to Thief. I know we have almost nothing in this build that supports it, but if you get a chance to get 50 gold, I would not say no to it. All the other option really is not as relevant for us. Warhawk and Coordinator, both are actually our own settlements. It's kind of in this build, but at the same time, it's also kind of not. Coordinator would be the other option I could consider because it will help your army recruit in the initial phase. But both the growth and the recruitment seems like a spy that you want to keep not on the frontier, not where you're fighting. So I don't know. I feel like Thief is still the best option for rank 9 for any build with your spy. It's just that good. Then rank 10, Tireless Rover and like Perseus, simply because the right side is pretty bad. There is nothing that's really good. It's all own settlement action, but your spy is most likely just with your army at all time. This is an embedded build, so it's not going to come out and do any actions on own settlements. And then 150 food, it's not like 50 gold. There's leaps and bound differences there. Then rank 11, back to Silver Tongue. And the reason why we want this side is because we want exotic armor. Exotic armor gives us 15% to damage resistance for our own units and 10% to upkeep costs for all units in the hero army when embedded. It makes it more expensive. 10% is not a discount, but an increase. But the 15% damage resistance is worth it in my opinion. That totals to 20% for this build. That means you basically have a 25% extra health boost in essence. Probably even more than that because this is just straight up damage resistance. It's quite nice. Then rank 12, Seeking Out Traitors and Purveyor of Distrust, mainly for those Poison the Well actions to get the enemy morale down, since that is what we're doing here, and also a little bit of poison damage. Master Disguise for rank 13, Wolfbane Supplier. We explained this build before. Now, of course, this choice, Wolfbane Supplier, is probably the only thing that's contributing very much to our build. But once again, Cold-Blooded doesn't make too much sense for us because we're embedded most of the time, so we're not actually going to perform a lot of active actions. The final rank will definitely rely on Poison the Well Never Fails and Healthy once again. So this is really the 3 probably most useful build I can think of for the spies, the first 2 in particular. The third one is just the option you can have if you want to use your spies to boost the defensive capabilities of your armies. Essentially, you're getting around 20% damage resistance, which is quite nice. But overall, using your spy to target enemy garrisons, enemy generals, or enemy units are great ways to equalize the odds against the AI. And it's an essential part to doing well in Troy, in my opinion. Using spies is how you defeat settlements with ease without relying on overwhelming manpower, which is technically how you really should do sieges in the Bronze Age. But we have spies, so let's use them. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this guide, and we'll be making a few more on the remaining 2 agents of Envoy and Priestess before jumping back to some of the hero skill tree guides that we have done before. So we'll see you guys then. Bye!